Welcome to the Christian Channel Podcast. I'm your host, Austin Kelly, and today's guest isn't just telling stories, he's taken us straight to the heart of the Crusades. Brad Allen is a filmmaker, writer, and all around creator from Wisconsin. His series Crusaders Tale transports us to the 12th century at the close of the Third Crusade, where an English knight faces danger, moral test, and the fight to protect his family and homeland. Brad is self taught with a background in journalism, yet he achieved something most indie filmmakers only dream about: staging medieval battles, riding horses in full armor, and building an entire historical world on screen. And now, Crusader's Tale, Season 1 and 2, that's 10 epic episodes, are streaming on ChristianChannel.com and available to an even wider audience through Roku TV. Brad, welcome to the show. It's great to have you here.
Thanks very much, Austin. It's a pleasure to join you here, so thank you.
Let's start from the beginning. How did you go from writing and journalism to strapping on armor and directing a medieval adventure like Crusader's Tale?
Yeah. It's a long story. There's a lot of steps that led to it. I mean, the idea started when I was very young. I was always interested in movies and writing books and storytelling. Had some inklings of wanting to do acting at some point in my life, and kind of put that aside for a while. You get into early adulthood, you're trying to figure your life out, and it wasn't until the COVID pandemic happened, where I was just going through a really rough time, even personally at that point in my life, and yeah, everything was a perfect storm, and I was really looking for some, hobby, something to do that would bring joy. And I decided I'm going to start doing films. That's something I always wanted to do. And we made our first drama film, and that led to the next film and then the next film after that. And we just kept it going. And along the way, we decided upon this storyline and just couldn't put it down. We just had to keep rolling with it. So,
That's awesome. No,
yeah.
that's great. You take something that was dark, right? Something so dark, everyone's inside all day. You're like, okay, I have to do something with my life. I have to
Yeah.
make a TV show.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now that both seasons are streaming on ChristianChannel.com and available through Roku, more people are discovering the series. Have you noticed a change in the kind of feedback or audience interactions you're getting?
I would honestly say the feedback has remained pretty consistent with everything that we've been hearing on our end. Um, the fans of the show, they love it. They're just excited for more. They really really want to see more episodes as soon as possible. So we're working really hard to make that a reality. But yeah, it's been great feedback, and we're very grateful for the fans as well. So thank you to them. So.
Yeah. And you also crowdfunded the show. I mean, that's how this whole thing happened, right? Can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, that was it was an interesting journey. I mean, the first season, uh, full transparency, that was just an out-of-pocket cost. That was just something where I really wanted to do it, so we just made it happen. And then we went to crowdfunding for the second season because we knew we were just going to need a little bit of help to get over the hump. And we're very, very grateful for friends, family, online viewers of the show, a whole bunch of different people that contributed and made that possible. And we are super grateful for that. So, huge shout out and thank you to every single one of those donors. And yes, a lot of word of mouth too helps.
Yeah, the fans, if you have that gut feeling like, I don't know about this idea, it's so far-fetched. I'm in Wisconsin, I'm not in Hollywood. Yet there's a whole world out there that is just as big of a fan of the Crusades as you are, right? So we're very grateful that you did make this series, and it looks really great. So
Thank you.
the Third Crusades is very fascinating and it's a complex period of history. What drew you to the specific moment, and how did you approach blending historical figures with original characters?
Yeah, I mean, we wanted to tell a story that would inspire people, make them feel good. I mean, that's our central mission, is we want everyone to have a good time and take that into their own lives in some way, shape, or form. And we wanted to show some kind of a story that communicated, togetherness, treating people as brothers and sisters kind of thing. Like really, what does coexistence look like?
Mhm.
And that sounds counterintuitive when you're talking about the Crusades, a point where, so many different cultures were clashing, and a very violent period of history, sure, but we saw a route with the show that could showcase, what does it look like if people put their differences aside, especially when the whole world is tearing itself apart. And we think that even in today's day and age, people could get something out of that, and hopefully feel that it's heartwarming. So
Mhm. Yeah, for our fans that are watching this podcast right now, that haven't seen Crusader's Tale, the plot is pretty much a knight is befriending a Saracen.
that's like the whole first two seasons in a nutshell. And even past that, I feel like it's a non-spoiler thing to say, but the whole show, for everything we've got planned, we'll deal with even other cultures, and will show extra situations where people come together and put their differences aside, actually. So it'll be fun.
Yeah, it goes back to also the imitation of Christ a little, right? It's like you have to love your neighbor. Even though, we're in the battle, we're in the crusade, there is that bond, and it's kind of a quirky, now I would say quirky relationship. How would you describe the relationship between the knight and the Saracen throughout the series?
Yeah, I mean it's very brotherly. At least that's kind of my own interpretation of it from my side of things. Um, it feels a lot like if you come from different households where you're kind of brought up to hear, bad things told, that you shouldn't spend time with this person. They're not like us. But then you meet that person and you realize, we really have a lot more in common than we do have separate, which in large parts, humanity, that's how it is. We all have so much more in common, and it celebrates those differences, and shows how when they come together, join forces, great things happen, and a lot of acts of noble heroism, and it's really fun.
Yeah, you could sense that throughout the whole series. There is this real sense of authenticity, even from horseback sequences and the period accurate costumes and weapons. What's it actually like to be on horseback in full gear with the cameras rolling?
Yeah, it was fun. A little bit scary too, because when you're on a 1,200 pound horse, I mean, it's no joke, so you got to be really careful, and just have your wits about you. I was fortunate that we had a really amazing trainer, Andrea, who is our horseback riding expert. She offered some lessons, and very grateful for that. So that really helped keep the stunt safe. Um, I mean, the armor, everything like that, it really helps get into character. It helps sell the moment. It just feels that much more real. When you're battling, there's actually blood, sweat, and tears going into it, and it's it really transports you to a whole nother world, and we hope that translates onto the screen for the fans too. That it feels
Yeah,
real.
I agree. I agree
Yeah.
because one thing that we both have in common is we both directed Crusader films. I think I don't know if the audience knows that, and there is literally blood, sweat, and tears
Yeah.
underneath that helmet. There is
Yeah.
an actor crying inside. Why did I do this role?
Uh-huh.
Uh,
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
you're a self-taught filmmaker, which that's an incredible leap when you're working on a project of this size. What were the biggest challenges during production, and how did you work through them?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest challenges uh, is simply weather. The elements can be really tough. Just the nature of, being working adults, and having this passion project. It involves a lot of weekend filming, and a lot during the summer, when generally people have more vacation time and things like that. And by necessity, we're filming in super hot weather and buggy conditions, and it gets pretty crazy with like heat exhaustion and stuff like that. So it's a lot to manage, and yet that labor of love, we just push through, and um, it's really special, to see how that means something to the fans as well. That's
Yeah, no,
cool.
I completely agree, and I see such a jump from your talent going from season one to season two, and the what the audience sees is like this incredible camera work that has evolved,
Mhm.
and I don't know if that's because the wardrobes got better, the camera equipment got better. Can you share some like specific what was something specific that shifted in production that made elevated the quality? Was it the experience that you grew out of the show, or was it the? Why don't you share with our audience what made the big jump? Because there is a big difference.
Yeah, no, I mean, I appreciate that, and there's a lot of things in play with how that quality jump happened, and even the quality jump that viewers will see when season three comes out. It's night and day. It's amazing. In large part, that's really just the people that we have on board. I mean, we did invest in a little bit better equipment, more lights, better microphones, and things like that. Just extra costumes that help. Really tie that historical setting together. But it's really the people. You have this amazing crew. We've got our director of photography, Zach Menzies, who does all sorts of his own films, and he is just a wizard. Having him involved was honestly just one of the best decisions we could have ever made. So we're grateful for him.
Mhm.
And even the actors that we bring on board too. I mean, whether it's friends of mine who it's their passion or professionals I've met who we are just really trying to make the greatest thing happen. I mean, they've taught me so much about like the nuances of acting, and it's gosh, it's I really appreciate them for that. I almost don't know how to articulate it.
Where do you see yourself in this role currently?
Yeah, no, I mean, I plan to keep it going just because I love it so much. I mean, definitely plan to keep doing independent productions, all sorts of cool stories that we have on the docket. And I think I've found that acting is, you know, really, really something that I enjoy quite a lot. But directing's fun too. Producing is also very fun. There's so much that you learn just by doing this, and yeah, I don't think I could ever step away from it. Really, I think this is here to stay.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome to hear. Can you give us a sneak peek of season three?
Yeah, for sure. So we, at the time of this podcast being taped, we just finished filming a pretty interesting battle sequence. Um, the non-spoiler version is that it involves some really inspiring speeches. The main characters of the show, you really get to sit with them through that moment and get more of a deep dive into their brain. And yeah, just the oh gosh, the how it looks, honestly, it's really incredible. Like we've seen the first edit, and we're really happy with how it turned out. It just visually, everything about it, wow. It's great. So yeah.
Yeah, I kind of I stalked your Instagram and I was looking at behind the
Okay.
scenes stuff and I was like, wow, this looks so freaking amazing. I can't wait till season three comes out. I was going to ask you this. So when telling historical stories that also weaves in themes of faith, there's this balance between staying true to history and keeping the drama alive. How do you walk that line?
Yeah, I mean it can be a challenge. But honestly it's a really fun challenge, I mean, we try to keep the history alive by doing research, about what are some big events in history, what are some historical figures that would deserve some kind of coverage to really help transport people into that world.
Mhm.
But then, yeah, I just take strategies from filmmaking classes that I did in college, or things that we've learned through trial and error, things
Mhm.
that work,
Mhm.
uh, general story structure, and character styles that people generally respond well to, and we just find ways to weave them in there and just craft things. And a lot of it is collaboration, consulting the cast and crew for just review. Hey, does this look good in the script? And it's this amazing blend of ideas. So it's really a team effort, actually.
Who shaped you as a filmmaker? Like, is there anybody that inspired you since you were growing up? Can you tell us maybe literature or personal experiences you have?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I there's many filmmakers, actors, writers, and just general creators that really I found inspiring. Anything that was in science fiction or historical fiction certainly had an influence, really cemented that love of, fantastical or historical worlds to dive
Mhm.
into. Um, I don't know. I mean, there's so many. I mean, like I was a Star Wars kid, so that was huge. Lord of the Rings had such an impact. But even, people in my life, friends, my family, uh, there's a huge influence there,
Mhm.
just seeing their approach to life and then kind of just wanting to mirror that on the screen in
Mhm.
cases.
You definitely see it. I mean, when you watch the show, you see a little bit of Frodo, a little bit of
Sure.
Lord of the Rings. So if you're listening to this right now and you want to see a show that's very similar to the Lord of the Rings, but in the third taking place in the third Crusade, you
Yep.
got to check out Crusaders Tales. Just saying. The Crusades are often simplified or misunderstood in pop culture. What do you hope viewers take away from Crusaders Tale that they might not get from a textbook or Hollywood films?
Yeah. A lot, right? I mean, there's so much to it, and the Crusades began as knights were trying to protect pilgrims going to and from the Holy Land, but there's a lot of violence at that time, and that's a big part of what movies and things will focus on because it was so prevalent. But we wanted to show that there's a little bit that we believe there's a little bit extra of a story there too. I mean, in some of the research that we did, there were some accounts of historical figures, such as Balian of Ibelin, as one example,
Mhm.
where uh, there's documented examples of him being even friendly, not just cordial, but actually close friends with people from other cultures. And, that inspired us to think about, okay, like what would that look like if we take it even a step further? What happens if it's like brothers in arms, and
Mhm.
hopefully something that inspires people in their own lives.
Mhm.
Yeah, I guess we want people to think about the nuances of just human interaction and hopefully see a beacon of hope as well. So,
Yeah, and what I like about your story is you're kind of like you are a self-made, indie filmmaker. And for all those filmmakers, that are aspiring to be in your position, what's one piece of advice you could give them to pursue such a project of this scale? I don't think the audience typically understands this because when they think filmmaker, they think drama. Oh, it's a shootout, modern day. You're talking about making a project taking place in the medieval times. I mean, it's not as simple as going to your front yard and there's a police car with wardrobe. This is extremely difficult. So what advice do you have for filmmakers out there that just have your burning passion to make quality good films?
yeah, I think the most important thing is to just get out there and just do it. Just start making the art, start creating. Who cares if you don't have the biggest budget? Um, with a shoestring budget, you can find a couple materials to make a costume that looks convincing, and spend a little bit of time even painting it by hand, and yeah, just really just go for it. Like if you love what you do, your story deserves to be told just as much as anyone else's. So why not yours? That's the question I would pose to them, and to just encourage them to, block out all the noise of the what if it doesn't work, or oh, we don't have this or that. Just do it, and let that love and that passion and the friends around you, let that carry you through it, is what I would say.
There you go. Thank you, Brad, for being on the podcast. It's been great having you here. It's incredible to hear your story behind Crusader's Tale and the passion that drives your work. And for everyone listening, I want to personally invite you to experience the series for yourself. Both season 1 and 2, 10 full episodes, are streaming right now on ChristianChannel.com and on Roku TV. Picture this: it's evening, you're on the couch, and you're firing up your smart TV. You download the Christian Channel app on Roku, hit play, and suddenly you're riding alongside knights through the Crusades, the battles, the faith, the heroism, all from the comfort of your own home. When you become a paid member, you're not just watching great stories, you're supporting independent creators like Brad so they can keep making epic faith-filled productions. So head on over to thechristianchannel.com or download the Christian Channel app on Roku and start streaming tonight. If you enjoyed today's episode, share it with a friend, leave a review, and subscribe to the Christian Channel podcast for more conversations about bringing faith, culture, and truth together. Brad, thank you so much for being on the show. It was a real pleasure to have you here.
Yeah, thank you very much for taking the time. I appreciate it.
And to everyone listening, we'll see you next time.